Hello and welcome to the special Valentine's Day edition of Gotham Sound TV. I'm here with Andrew from Deity Microphones. Hello, Andrew.
How is everything?
It's quite lovely. Happy Valentine's Day, sir. Okay, anyway, so
Yes.
thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Andrew, has brought the Deity Connect, which, as you can see, it's upside down. In terms of the label, but if the box was closed, it wouldn't be. So tell me, the Deity Connect coming out soon. Tell me about what's in the box, what it does, and all the things.
So what we're actually providing is a case that actually is a starter kit for anyone that doesn't own any wireless that wants to just start and get everything in one package. Okay. So you get 2 transmitters, 2 lavaliers, you get a DSLR cable, a cold shoe mount for cameras. You actually get a cable to sync up multiple systems if you buy multiple systems. We even give you a USB-C to USB Type-A adapter. That way you can do firmware updates. We give you 2 XLR cables, and we give you a dual-channel receiver.
Cool.
So,
and then tell us a little bit about the specs. What does it operate in? What's the the range, the transmission power, all that.
So it's a 2.4 gigahertz wireless system. It's bidirectional communication between the receiver and the transmitter. It's 100 milliwatts. Okay. And at 100 milliwatts, you're actually going to get 10 hours of battery life. As you reduce that milliwatts, you actually will get more battery life. So for people out there who say, I need 12 hours, you probably don't necessarily also need 100 milliwatts most of the time. Right. Especially if you always have line of sight, you're within 30 feet of your talent, you could drop that down to 25 milliwatts and get quite a bit more battery life. The batteries themselves are chargeable via USB-C. Charges up in less than an hour.
Let's look at this real quick. So there's a USB-C charger right on the bottom of each of these transmitter packs.
Yep, and we even have the bottom of the receiver itself. You can charge that up. So even if you're running it in an audio bag, you can actually just run the cable in the bag underneath. A lot of mixers now can take USB, like the MixPre series. Yep. So you just buy a nice cell phone battery with USB-C, and you're able to charge this along with your MixPre.
Yeah, and theoretically, if you were worried about 12 hours of battery, you could either charge it up at lunch or throw a little cell phone battery in somebody's pocket and charge it at the same time.
There's now credit card size batteries that are like 2,000 milliamps, just a little 6-inch cable in there and drop it in someone's pocket, and you're looking at 20 hours of battery life. The internal lithium battery is 2,000 milliamps. Again, charges up in less than an hour. Yeah. So lunch, you're able to go from 0 to full in no problem during lunch. Yeah, and it comes with 2 lavs as well, right? It does come with 2 lavs. They are wired up 3.5 millimeter. The system will work on anything that's 3.5 millimeter standard. Yeah. And
so same as like the G4 and all that?
Same as the G4, the Rolink and all that. But they're also stereo transmitters. So if you have a line level signal that's stereo, you can actually plug that in and it'll transmit a stereo signal.
So you could do, you were saying earlier that you could either do 2 channels stereo, or you could do 1 channel mono and time code and split it out. Yep. Special for camera hops and things like that.
Absolutely.
Cool. Now, one thing you were mentioning that was interesting is you said there's it's a 19 millisecond latency.
So there's a 19 millisecond latency in the transmitter. What that allows us to do is if we ever do a bad frequency hop, because the system is always hopping, if for whatever reason we do a bad frequency hop and the system goes, hey, you know what, I didn't get all the data I needed. Yep. The next 2 transmissions include that missing audio, timestamp it, and as soon as it goes into the receiver reads that timestamped information, reinserts it back into the stream like a buffer system, and puts it back out. Yeah. So it's like having an anti-skip protection on a CD player. You know, you can hit a pothole in your car, but your music never stopped playing. We have the same kind of system.
And then you were, oh gosh, I forgot what I was going to say. It was really important. Oh gosh.
Well, I mean, we can go through the menu system of the transmitter.
Sure, yeah, I'm totally going to think of what it is right in the middle, but yeah, go ahead.
So we'll move this to the side. In the menu, we have the home screen, and I actually have a bunch of stuff turned on so you can see it from the home screen. We have an analog limiter currently engaged. We have a high frequency boost in the system from 7K to 20K. Right. So if you hide a lavalier, it can start to sound really muffled. You can fight through some of that muffle and correct it before you even transmit it. And we have 150 hertz turned on. Here you can also see we have a user ID set up. You can change that to anything you want, lowercase, uppercase, and number. And we have a metering system. The metering system for our RF meter is not what we're actually transmitting, it's also what we're receiving back and forth. It's a shared combined meter. And if I were to take this lavalier and kind of bounce it around, you can kind of see the VU meters.
I figured out what this is. So this is a full digital system, right?
It's 100% digital.
And so in terms of quality, if you want to put that in digital terms, what would you say the digital transmission is?
So we're 24-bit, 48 kilohertz.
Okay.
So we're uncompressed audio. Again, with that lossless stream technology of the retransmissions, you really get a nice, full, rich, kind of original from what your lavalier was producing.
So you're transmitting at the same thing that most people are recording at, so you're not losing anything.
Yeah, you're not, absolutely. And that's why we wanted to put the analog limiters at the transmitter, because now so many recorders now don't have analog limiters, the task cams, the zooms, all that kind of stuff. And we wanted that at the head of where it's actually being acquired now. So the rest of our system, you can see it's just a simple menu system that you can scroll through, really easy. And when we get into RF power, again, you have options for 50, 25, and 10. And we also have an auto feature. This is something that's going to be very different for a lot of people. They're used to just either not having the option that's changed it, or you set it and you forget it. What our system does is it communicates back and forth. If for whatever reason the receiver's like, hey, I could really use a little bit more signal, the system will then boost it automatically. Accordingly. So that's going to give you the maximum amount of battery life based on range from subject to receiver.
Oh, interesting. So have you done tests and see how much more battery life you get with something like that?
Well, again, it depends on distance.
Right.
So the test that we've done is I've done a setup where I was at 10 milliwatts and we were still 65 feet away from the subject, getting more than enough signal. We had 0 hiccups. We had a couple of pieces of grip and lighting equipment in front of us with grips walking back and forth, not a big deal.
Yeah.
And at 65, we were on for about 4 hours and our battery bar didn't even move.
Yeah.
So we got a lot more battery life. I haven't had enough time to just sit and watch a battery meter all day, the test, but we probably will do some tests to see what the battery life is at 10 milliwatts, and we'll just separate them by 10 feet and just run a test.
And I should say that we did some range tests here in the office not too long ago, and I mean, we were at completely opposite ends of the office, and we have some big metal shelves. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear any dropouts or anything like that.
Yeah, so I think the only time we got dropouts is when we started to put like several metal shelves full of electrical equipment blocking the signal.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, for most people out there, I think a lot of people get hooked up on this idea that I need 200 feet range. And it's like, how often do you actually need that?
Right.
As an ENG guy, typically you are, as far as your boom pole reaches. And that's sometimes 20 feet max. So for ENG guys, bag people out there that are working on smaller kind of setups, they're leaning toward that mixed pre. They want to scale down and get the dual receivers and kind of weigh less on their back.
Yep.
This system is going to provide more than enough range, we think.
And so let's switch over to the receiver for a second. So as you mentioned, the receiver and the transmitter are always communicating.
Yeah, they're always communicating. And what I can do is show you guys a test. So we've actually got the W system, which is actually coming in as channel 1. You can see I can monitor the battery life. Again, our shared combined that. And I can actually show you the VU meter is kind of responding there. I'm not yelling into it. But if I go into my menu, I actually get the option of actually targeting. So this is transmitter A, and I'll select into it, and I'm actually going to turn that limiter off. And as soon as I hit OK, we'll watch the screen. And that's how quick it is.
Wow.
So we actually have 100 milliwatt transmitters in the receiver. They're communicating back all that kind of information and control. So you're never going to be without range of actually changing the communications. So we can actually go in and actually do every single thing. I can put the unit to sleep, and it's going to put the unit to sleep. And what's doing now is you see that VU meter is not running. It's actually not running the bias power, and then it puts the unit to actually sleep.
Got it. So you can save power there for lunch.
You can save battery
stuff.
for lunch, if they go to the bathroom, if they just want to go into makeup and they're going to be in there for an hour, but they've already been wired up, we can actually just turn that back on, and it immediately turns back on.
Great.
So every single setting is available to be changed.
And in terms of settings for just the receiver, is there anything that's unique to the receiver that we should know about?
So what's unique to the receiver is independent outputs. So A and B can be independently changed. So you can really dial in your gain structure exactly how you want it. There's nothing here that's going to be full auto or AGC. You can actually even go up to, if I go into the menu, we can actually go up to a plus 15 dB.
Wow.
Which is strong enough to actually drive 40 millimeter headphones. So in DSLR mode, and I'll show you the modes right now. So in DSLR mode, it actually mixes A and B on both outputs. So it puts A on the tip, B on the ring. So into a DSLR, left and right is isolated. And then your headphones, you can actually monitor them independently of each other with different kind of cans. So you can actually listen and not get a mix. So if one's having a hiccup, you actually know which one's having the hiccup.
Ah, cool. Okay.
You can also go into that mode and hit stereo, and actually need to choose the left and the right if I'm doing a line level signal for camera hop. And in the future, what we're going to add is the fact that we're going to be able to do multicast to multiple receivers. That's for firmware that we're planning later down the road.
Cool. And then show us that little Velcro thing that you were talking about before, talking about camera mounting and whatnot.
So right now we've got the soft Velcro out. If you were to come across a situation where they have a hard Velcro on a camera, you can do soft Velcro onto it. If for whatever reason you want to undo it, you just undo it. You can slide this out, slide it back in, and just reverse it. You also have 3/8 and 1/4 20, which again we include the cold shoe adapter in order to mount this onto it.
Cool.
Camera.
And then the antennas, you know, they look like Wi-Fi antennas, but those are standard connectors, right?
These are indeed the exact same standard SMA. They're not reverse pull SMA, which a lot of people out there use in 2.4 gigahertz. We wanted to use the exact same antennas that people are used to with the exact same cables and accessories you probably already own. So if for whatever reason you do end up damaging your antenna, you can go over, you can call someone at Gotham and pick up something like the remote audio antenna, and you would just need to cut it to a 2.4 gigahertz instead of to a UHF. So all those extra antennas exist on the market if you ever need to do replacements.
Got it. And that means that you could use external 2.4 gigahertz antennas as well, like a CP beam or something.
Absolutely, yeah. There's so many. I mean, in the option of 2.4 gigahertz, the directional antennas you have are even wider than UHF because just scale. You can get stuff like Yagi antennas that aren't the size of this table. They're more like the size of my hand. And I can get really directional antennas if I really try to go for distance range and I need to punch through a couple of walls. So those are all available currently on the market. You just need to make sure you get the right kind of cable to go from the antenna to the actual device.
Cool.
And yeah, everything accessory-wise is already available.
Awesome. Joe, looks like you have something.
Yeah, a couple questions from the internets. So is the internal battery easily changed when its life ends?
So at the end of its life, it is actually fairly easy. There is, we'll pull it up right here. There we go. There's 2 screws on this side, 2 screws on this side, and there's 2 screws on the bottom. This metal aluminum body just slides off, and you'll be able to actually get access to the lithium battery right there. And I believe it's just a little simple quick terminal to unplug. So what you would do is you would say, hey, my lithium battery died. We would ship you another lithium battery, and you could just change it yourself. So it's not too complicated. Not what we would normally call user changeable, like a AA battery.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if you're worried about internal lithium batteries dying, there is an option available to you, much similar to the tentacle sync process. Just unscrew the capsule, unplug the plug, plug the new one back in.
And it seems like that's the same kind of construction on the receiver as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, same kind of construction, outside aluminum. The sides are like an ABS plastic because on this unit itself, we have the 2 SMA antennas, but we also have 2 horizontal antennas inside. These act as the B, these act as the A, and then we have 2 chips inside that talk to A and B and A and B for a dual diversity setup.
Oh, wow. So it is actual diversity per receiver. So
per receiver.
4 receivers in there.
Yeah, so there's technically 2 receivers per chip. And you can actually take, like if you had a nice Yagi antenna, you could actually go into both of these with a passive splitter. And technically you are targeting multiple chips for the multiple receivers, or the multiple transmitters.
Wow, awesome. Joe, what else you got?
Another question. Let's see here. Can you charge the battery while you having it plugged in, so having external power for the units and charge?
Absolutely. So with USB-C, you actually have multiple pins in there. So if you plug this into any USB port, it will charge. If you plug it in and the battery is completely dead and you want to charge and run at the same system, there are USB-C chargers that actually do 12 volts, like 34 watts. I mean, there's some crazy ones. I know my Note 9 has like 34 watt capabilities. So you're actually able to plug this into a USB charger, charge the system, run the system. If the source that you're running it from, like a wall wart, seems to get unplugged or whatever, the internal battery immediately kicks in, and you're not going to hear anything in the audio stream at all about that battery switch.
Cool.
That's great. And then the lavalier, is that a locking 1/8 inch?
That is a locking 3.5, wired for standard. So if you've already got one of these on the market, if you've already got some stuff in the Sennheiser range or the Rodelink range, any of your lavaliers for that will work with us. And the one that we're showing here is our micro dot lavalier.
Gotcha. And last question, are there any clip options to orient the transmitter with the antenna downward?
Not really. Not that we've...
So you just used a pouch for that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of pouches on the market that you could do that. You could use like the Ursa one to go through a belt. And that, we didn't really think about doing that. It's kind of interesting. It gives us
that
something
came
to
from
think
TK
about. Yeah.
from our Atlanta shop.
Okay.
Curse you, TK. But I think you're right. I think the pouch is the way to go, either the pouch or a belt pack, something like that.
Yeah, and when it comes to pouches, we've been playing around with that, and it does fit inside the Ursa large pouches.
Okay, cool.
So we've already checked. They sent us a bunch to check to make sure we're compatible with their pouches. So it's the large.
Yeah, so that would be Ursa large, any of the Viviana pouches, Neopacks for the SMDWB or the standard ones.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's some options out there.
There's a lot of options.
All right, cool. Anything else from the internet?
We are internet wrapped.
All right, Andrew.
Perfect.
Anything else from you that we should know about?
I'm just excited to be here. It's been a great time to see you guys.
Awesome. Well, thanks for spending your holiday with us. I hope your wife understands.
She does. She's got a shopping list now. So
good.
It's okay.
Perfect. Well, thanks for being here. And let's see, things coming up. So we've got Build-A-Bag in both New York City and Atlanta, Saturday, March 9th. So you can bring in your bag and show it off to your friends. We do all sorts of weird contests and prizes for that stuff. And there's lunch. And then a couple months after that, get ready because it's going to be the Gotham Sound Expo. Are you going to be here?
I will be.
Good. Andrew will be here. Andrew will be here. And that's Saturday, May the 4th. So, you know, if you wear a Star Wars outfit, there may or may not be a special prize for you then. To watch this video and more, visit our archives at gothamsound.tv. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter and now on Instagram. And if you have any ideas or questions about anything at all, please email us at info@gothamsound.com. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.